In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but God, and God is the only one who has the right to be worshipped. I also bear witness that Prophet Moses, Prophet Jesus, and Prophet Muhammad are the messengers of God, and I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected Satan. So in this video, we'll be discussing Imam Mahdi, the Mashiach, the rightly guided one, the one that is awaited throughout history. Imam Mahdi, the Mashiach, goes by many names depending on what scriptures you read and what era the scriptures were written. But there's going to be a man to come in the end times to help lift humanity by the will of God out of its current state of oppression, of inequality, of injustices that has spanned the entire globe, and to lift humanity by the will of God, by the implementing the obedience of God to bring about prosperity, abundance, justice, equality throughout the world. So I have some Quran verses to help us understand the establishment of the obedience of God, and some other verses to help us understand reality on a deeper level, to help us understand the awaited Imam Mahdi, the Mashiach, to help us have a foundation of knowledge that will, what's the word I'm looking for here, that will transcend this reality, this physical reality. So we'll start at chapter 42, verse 13. And this verse will be discussing the establishment of the obedience of God on the face of the earth. Now, there are some key verses in the Quran that I think are more pronounced to the coming of Imam Mahdi the Mashiach, and I believe this is one of them. This verse will really lay the foundation for Imam Mahdi the Mashiach. So the verse goes, "He has ordained for you the same course of faith as he has enjoined on Noah to adopt, and which we have revealed to you, and it is that same faith which we enjoined on Abraham, Moses, Jesus. So keep the faith and do not differ in it. He ordains you to establish the obedience to Allah, and do not divide in sects therein. Hard upon the polytheists is that teaching which you call them to. Allah draws him towards himself who wishes to be drawn to him, and guides him to himself who turns towards him with a sincere heart." So this is a very important verse for us to understand the foundation of Imam Mahdi the Mashiach, that as the previous prophets and messengers that Allah sent, like Noah, Jesus, Moses, Abraham, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon them all, to establish the obedience to God on this earth. So that is the core of all the prophets and messengers, and will be the core of Imam Mahdi the Mashiach, will be the obedience to Allah, to fulfill all the commandments and all the laws that Allah has revealed, and to be in harmony with these laws and commandments, and to be fully obedient to Allah. Now this is obviously a process, as the hadiths say that Imam Mahdi is known as the riser, that he will rise like the sun. So these implements of divine law and commandments of God are going to be built upon gradually and gradually. Imam Mahdi the Mashiach, the system of Imam Mahdi the Mashiach is being established as I'm speaking. It's been being established for some time. um, everything is moving towards the establishment of the obedience of God, the establishment of the Khalifa, the rightly guided leader of humanity. Everything is moving together quite nicely. So, also, it's very important for us not to divide into different sects. Now, as we know, there are many different Christian, Jewish, Islamic sects, um, and this Imam Mahdi Mashiach is not going to come in any different sect. He's going to be a believer in God. He's going to be a Muslim, Christian, and Jew. He's going to be a true believer. He's going to believe in all the prophets and messengers, all the authentic scriptures that were revealed to these prophets and messengers, and he's going to be in the best obedience to his capabilities to the creator of the universe. So it's very important for us not to fall in these, my religion is better than your religion, my sect is better than your sect. That's not what really matters. This is a cause and effect universe, and our actions have consequences. So it does not matter what sect or what religion you are from. The most important thing is how good your deeds are and how obedient you are to Allah and His commandments. Because obviously, Allah is all knowing, all seeing, all hearing. He is the guider, provider, and sustainer of all things in the universe and of all of creation. So why wouldn't you take the advice of the one who's all knowing, who knows what's under every rock, what's in every particle, what's in everything in outer space, everything that's going on, Allah is in full knowledge of it. So it would be really irresponsible not to take the guidance of the creator of the universe, and kind of irrational to not take the guidance of God. So this is a very foundational verse that Imam Mahdi will be establishing the obedience of God on this earth. So this has to happen in a group setting, in a global setting, and so it's very important for us to understand this and not to divide into sects, and to be obedient to God, to do what Allah makes lawful, and stay away from unlawful things that Allah forbids. So we'll move on to the next verse. Allah says in chapter 42, verses 40 through 42, "And the recompense of an evil done is a punishment equal to it. But he who pardons an offender, and whereby improves the matter, and effects whereby a reform in the offender, shall have his reward from Allah. Behold, behold, he does not love the wrongdoers. No blame shall lie on those who defend themselves after a wrong is done to them. The blame only lies on those who wrong people and commit aggression in the land without justification. It is they for whom there awaits a grievous punishment." So there's lots of information in these verses. The Quran is multi-layered. It's the Quran. The knowledge in the Quran is like an onion. There's many layers into it, and the more deep you go in, the more layers you can understand. So Allah is saying here, the blame lies on those who commit aggression in the land without justification. So there's lots of aggression that's going on in the world. It's a global phenomenon. We're living in global oppression. We're living in global usury, global interest. People, even business transactions, people are using each other. So we have to reform each other. So as Allah says in the chapter in verse 40 here, "And the recompense of an evil done is a punishment equal to it." So it's very important to understand the law of cause and consequences, which Allah is discussing here. And forgiving an offender, which improves the matter and affects reform in the offender, Allah will reward you for this. So if you forgive somebody and improve the offender in some way, uh, Allah will reward this greatly. So this is a really telltale sign of Imam Mahdi the Mashiach, that he will help reform the world, help reform people through guidance, through understanding. The more we internalize these verses and it gets more imprinted in our hearts and minds, we'll understand the truth on a deeper level, and we'll be understand what's going on in our world, and we will see the straight path for what it is and not be misguided by falsehoods, and we can move in a more harmonious way in our lives together with creation and with our Creator. So Allah says, no blame shall lie on those who defend themselves after a wrong is done to them. So like I've said before, Allah says, if you've been wrong, you have the right to complain, you have the right to defend yourself, but you have to do it equitably. For example, if someone slaps someone, the equitable thing to do to retaliate in an equitable manner, in a fair, equal manner, is to slap the person back. So person A gets slapped, person A slaps person B back for the slap. The person who did the second slap in retaliation, no wrong lies upon them. They were in self-defense, and they didn't go beyond what's done to them. So, for example, if someone slaps person A, and then person A shoots person B, or beats that person, or does way more aggression than the slap, then person A is the one at fault. He went beyond equitable retaliation, and it goes by the law, eye for an eye, ear for an ear, tooth for a tooth. It's equitable retaliation. So you can't, if someone does wrong to you, you can't exceed what they did wrong to you. That then you will be the aggressor and you will be the one in the wrong. So in our dealings, for our security, for our safety, we cannot go beyond. If we are wrong, we cannot go beyond the bounds of the situation. If we were slapped unjustly slapped for some reason, we have the right to slap that person back in the same fashion that we were slapped to start with. Just a simple example. And so there's lots of aggression that's going on in the land without justification, and Allah says there's a grievous punishment waiting for those. So don't worry, there's lots of corruption in the world, there's lots of injustice in the world. Don't worry, Allah will take care of these people. Just go on being a good person, being a good believer, doing the right things, improving yourself, improving your character, asking God for guidance, doing what Allah makes lawful, staying away from the unlawful things Allah forbids, keeping up with your prayers, seek forgiveness from God, get closer to God, and understand what's going on in the world, how to improve yourself, get yourself more knowledge. Listening to these videos is a great way for us to understand knowledge and truth on a deeper level. So Allah says in chapter 58 verses 20, certainly those who oppose Allah and his messengers will rank with the lowest of the low. So this falls down into law of cause and effect. So those who are not going to be on the side of Allah and his messenger and Imam Mahdi the Mashiach, the people who are going to be opposing the obedience of God on this earth, are going to be the ones who are brought to the lowest. They're going to be of the ones at the lowest rank. So you want to be on the side of Imam Mahdi the Mashiach, you want to be on the side of God, and you want to be on the side of the messengers to live a full and beautiful, harmonious life in this world, and more importantly, to have that in the next world. So Allah says in chapter 76, verse 24, therefore abide perseveringly by the commandments of your Lord, and wait for the fulfillment of the prophecies, and yield none to the sinful and grateful disbelievers. So this is very, very important. So Allah loves the patient and persevering. Allah is testing us to see who's going to persevere in God's way, who's going to be obedient to God, who's going to persevere uh, throughout all the hardships, all the trials and tribulations that are going on in this world. So that is a commandment of God to abide perseveringly by the commandments of God, the creator of the universe, and wait for be patient and wait for the fulfillment of the prophecies, like the prophecies of Imam Mahdi, the Mashiach. Imam Mahdi, the Mashiach, he's on his way, and we just need to be patient for these prophecies to be fulfilled. And Allah says here very importantly, and yield to none of the sinful and ungrateful disbelievers. So do not yield, do not give in to the sinful and ungrateful disbelievers. So this is very important for us to understand. People will tempt us to commit all sorts of immoralities, like drinking alcohol excessively, unlawful, like zina, the lusts of the body. The only lawful way to fulfill your lusts is through marriage. There's lots of things the sinful and ungrateful people will try to influence the believers into doing sinful things. So Allah says, yield not to them. Yield not. Also, I would mention with this, like yield not to a lot of the corrupt legislation that goes on. A lot of it is corrupt, and we should not yield to these. I know we are all involved in our lives, in our families, in the countries we live in. We have to earn money for our families, even though the whole financial system is completely corrupt. It's littered with interest. It's riddled with usury, the fiat currency, all that stuff. I'm not going to go really into it too much in this video, but anyone who has any amount of common sense can see how corrupt the financial system is. So the legislation, all sorts of usury, it's a big mess, and it has to be done away with, start from scratch. That's why Imam Mahdi the Mashiach will start from ground zero. He will be given allegiance to, and then he will establish a rightfully guided government that's divinely guided. The main core of the government is the obedience to God, the creator of the universe, obedient to the laws and commandments that God has revealed through his scriptures. So it's very important for us to understand that and not yield to these injustices. So the basic point is that, me too, I'm involved in the financial system, that we need to feed our families, etc., and help the needy people when we can. So it's important for us to still stay involved, somewhat have one foot into this corrupt system, but also taking a step out of it, that we have to look at taking steps to move out of this and to help establish the rightly guided government that Allah has ordained through Imam Mahdi, the Mashiach. So that is another reason why I make these videos, is to help the establishment of the divine laws that Allah has revealed, to help inform people, to help guide people, to help Imam Mahdi the Mashiach have a running start. Steps have to be taken, and these videos are a step in the right direction. So we're going to go to the last verse of this video. Allah says in chapter 41, verse 53, "We shall soon show these disbelievers for their guidance our signs, even in the remotest regions and in their own persons, until it becomes quite manifest to them that this Quran is the lasting truth in fact. Is it not enough for them that your Lord indeed keeps watch over everything?" So this is a very, very important verse This is what I learned early on reading the Quran, that how truthful it was, how I saw it manifesting in the world, especially early on when I didn't know anything about the Quran previously, that I just saw how it was starting unlocking things in my consciousness, making me realize how this reality works, how eternally truthful the Quran is, and any given the Quran has been roughly on this earth for about 1400 years or so, um, and still how truthful it is today as it was the day it was revealed. So very, very important verse for us to understand, and for us to see the signs and the truth in the Quran and how it and to see the truth of that in manifest in the world. It's a lasting truth, in fact, as Allah says here. Um, and people will see these truths, people will even maybe know it deep in their hearts, but their egos, their lust for this world is more strong than the truth and what is right. So these are some foundational verses to understand about Imam Mahdi the Mashiach, to help us understand why Imam Mahdi the Mashiach will establish the laws of God on this face of the earth, and not man's laws, not the corporation, what they want. No, we're going to do what's pleasing to God, inshallah. We're going to implement these divine laws, inshallah. The laws of God will fill this whole world at one point, inshallah, and we're just taking step by step in that direction until we get there, inshallah. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope Allah increases you in light and understanding, gives you guidance, and may Allah bless you, and may Allah increase you in knowledge. So I hope you enjoyed this video. May Allah protect the believers and increase us in all things that are good, and peace and blessings be with you. Thank you so much.